ID. It's gonna be 5 at the door. All right, you're good. You go inside. Okay, sick. Here we go. After 10 minutes of talking about D&D, episode 2, with Spencer McCalley. What is up, my guy?
Oh, not much, man. Just hanging out, working. I'm excited to record this podcast for the second time.
I know we tried this. Well, I tried doing this a long time ago, and I didn't have any real desire to like complete it. And like, it was just such a rough draft kind of thing. And I needed to come back to it like a year later. And now like, I feel like I'm like ready to go. So this has been like a long time coming, but we've been talking about doing this for a long time, and we've actually already done it. So we're like, good.
Yeah, exactly. We know how to not get so hyped that we talk over each other for the entire 30 minutes.
It's such a weird practice because there's something about like, interrupting is like part of my love language. Like I am so intrigued about what you're talking about that I want to talk with what your words are. Like I want to be there in those words right now.
Yeah, you got to match the energy.
I got to match that energy. Exactly.
And when you get both of us together, it's a positive feedback loop.
So a little bit of introduction to how I know Spencer. Spencer's used to live in Nashville, and I met him at Crying Wolf, which was like an old little famous bar. It's not there anymore. If you want to go to the spiritual successor, go to Hubba Hubba Tiki Tonk. But I met him, and within 5 minutes, we started talking about Magic the Gathering. And I always have to remember your last name because in my phone, which I got 5 minutes later, your number, you're just in my phone as Spencer Planeswalker. And it's like you're all of them. You've got, the red hair, so it's a little Chandra, a little Jace. Like you've got the whole thing going. But that is who you are in my phone.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was actually looking at your contact in my phone, and I have a question for you because I'm afraid I've been saying it wrong this entire time. But how do you say your first name?
It's Christian. Like it's imagine the CH Christian, but with a K.
Yes. Right.
Yes. 1,000,000%.
Yeah. So the way you spell it this entire time, I've been saying Christian.
It's like there is a man sleeping in Spain that just woke up from a nightmare of hearing that, and and something reverberated in his sleep, like a little bit of a nightmare. But yeah, it's funny. My name is one of the goofiest things that I've ever had to experience because I'll like go to sign up for something, and I have to someone to or provide my name, and I go, oh, my name's Christian Garrett, and people start writing the CH, and I go, oh, no, it's with a K, and they go, well, then how do you spell it? And I'm like, man, I thought I couldn't have been more clear, but it is still Christian, CHRISTIAN. It's just, like I said, with a K. Like, exchange those ch sounds. It's been a really weird time.
Yeah, good to know I've been saying it wrong this entire time I've known you. That's sick.
No, it's been that feels right. It feels like us. It feels like, I think that I'm not shocked. I feel good. Like this is just further lore between us.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit. So you've been in a bunch of bands since you were a kid. So like kind of give me the walkthrough of like your local band like saga.
Local band saga. Cool. So the year was 2010, 2011, whatever. I was like in junior year of high school, and I had some friends who had like a couple years previously moved out to Virginia. They were in a band in Virginia. They came back, and while they were in Virginia, I had another friend of mine who was in like a pop punk band at the time, but like, junior high, freshman year of high school kind of pop punk band. You know what that sounds like. They were all Blink 182 songs in everything but name, right? Like
Yes.
they were just channeling that and going crazy. So I mean, freshman year pop punk band, but I thought it was the coolest shit in the world. I was like, damn, I want to be in a band. I want to be in a band. So here come Aaron and Gabe, my buddies who are moving back from Virginia, who have just been in a band and they need a drummer now. So I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. So I get together with them. They're playing reggae music. So,
Always forget about that part.
yeah. Did you forget my first band was a reggae band?
Yes, every time.
Me too. So they get back and they're like, "We're doing reggae." And I'm like, "Cool." So I downloaded a bunch of 311 and Revolution and Pacifier. I like downloaded all of that, immersed myself in the culture, learned what the word "Irie" meant, and then just started playing a lot of those.
Yes, 1,000,000%. That you've nailed kind of like the reggae 101, all that stuff.
But we went full white boy reggae. We did that for I want to say like a year or two. And we eventually shifted towards more of like a ska punk kind of thing, like more surf rocky. We kind of like found our sound and got away from just like the pure reggae thing because we realized that wasn't us. And they weren't
1,000,000%.
They weren't on the Virginia beach anymore. They were in the desert of Arizona. There wasn't a beach in sight. So we got a little bit more towards like the ska punk side of the spectrum. And then after that is when I graduated high school and I went to University of Arizona down in Tucson. I went there for a year, and that's like the blank year. There were no bands.
Oh,
I didn't even have my drum set out there.
One band, what a no band year. Like you did a sabbatical.
Yeah, there was a sabbatical, and that's foreshadowing for when 2020 rolls around. But after that, I came back to Phoenix after that year at U of A, and those same guys that were doing like the reggae ska punk band, they had shifted into doing emo music. They were a band called Adult Feelings, and so I came back, and I kind of just, I don't know exactly what happened to the guy who was playing drums for them, but I played drums for them as soon as I came back. And so we did that for a while longer, and then I ended up moving to Nashville. Started playing with like Oliver John Rogers, and then like immediately went on tour unexpectedly. I got like really lucky just landing a touring gig immediately.
Was that with the country artist for for how long?
Not country. He was like doing more of it was like a 70s rock kind of thing, like just straight up rock and roll.
Classic, still very Nashville. Specifically as a drummer, I bet. Like they're like, "Hey, are you ready to go? Let's go now."
Yeah, I ended up I met that guy because when I first got to Nashville, the person who like basically got me out there didn't have any room for me at his place, and I didn't have a place to live, so he just sent me to his friend's house. Their living room was a studio, so they didn't even have like a couch for me to crash on. I slept on the floor in their studio, and then one night the band that lived there, they come back from a gig that they had at what was Cobra called before?
It was Fubar.
Fubar, yes. So they had a gig at Fubar, and then they came back all yelling at each other, and I watched this band break up my second night in Nashville.
That's right.
Because I was 20 years old. I couldn't go to the gig. I wasn't 21
right.
yet.
Oh my God. That's so intense for like, first of all, you're sleeping just like at a studio.
Yeah, on their floor.
On the floor of just like I don't know. There is a movie somewhere of like, this is such a epitome of like a Nashville story, Nashville young punk story.
I had the quintessential experience, man. I'm crashing on the floor in a studio of someone who I don't know, and then I watch their band break up, and then 2 months later that guy hits me up and he goes, "Hey, you play drums, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." It's like, "Cool, you want to go on tour? We're leaving in 3 weeks."
I can't imagine, because where were you working at the time?
I wasn't.
Okay, so like boom, done.
Yeah, I had just gotten to Nashville. I got like a couple weeks after that night where I watched the band break up, I got like a dishwashing job at Family Wash that was
Hmm.
on Gallatin when that was still alive, RIP.
Yeah.
Um, but I got a job dishwashing there, and then ended up just going on the road for a little bit, and then over the course of like that next year, were like little runs with Oliver. Going to Philadelphia and back within the span of like 3 days, shit like that. And every time I went on tour with Oliver, I had to find a new job when I got back, because every job I got, I made it very clear to them starting that job saying, "Hey, I am a touring musician, so I just want to make sure before I get in here that it's cool if I take like, a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, a week here. I just want to make sure that's good off the rip before I get started here." Every one of them were like, "Yeah, yeah, no, that should be cool." And then when it finally came time for me to take those 2 weeks off, it was not cool.
I think that is, again, another perfect example of like the problem of having to live these two lives when you're trying to be in a band and you're not Rolling Stone, you're like still in local band level and you have to like literally skip rocks that entire time.
Yeah, exactly, dude. The craziest thing about it too is that I was under the impression when I was 20, 21, like early 20s, when I was first living in Nashville and first starting to actually tour at like a real level, that you just had to work in restaurants or
Mm-hmm.
bartending, service industry. You had to work in service industry because that's the only place that would allow you the flexibility to do all of that. And ironically, that was the time where they had the least flexibility, and the most flexibility I've experienced has been my 9 to 5 desk job at a mortgage lender.
So I want to talk to you about that because I feel like that there has been a fundamental shift since COVID because of that.
Yeah,
I think that remote work is now the new musician job.
it has to be like I can't tell you how perfectly it's worked for me. Like last year, going on the road with Troubled Minds, I would be in the back of Matt Alderwood's Honda Pilot with my laptop, just sending my silly little emails from 9 to 5, like while we're doing the drive, and a little bit as we get to the crash spot. And as soon as I close my laptop at 5 o'clock Arizona time, I'm ready to play the gig. And then in the morning, I just start over again.
I think that is the perfect story on how like this podcast needs to be about, like telling people about you've experienced such a journey of like the local band thing that like, and you're still even doing it like at a level that not a lot of people are doing. And you've been able to experience every type in like every minutia change of what it's like to be at this level for so
Yeah,
long.
been playing drums for a minute, man. I feel old.
As a 35-year-old guitarist who started a band when he was 34, you're not old. You are not old. I'm old. I'm doing literally like nostalgia core as a band because I'm chasing something that I'll never find. Like you've been in bands and you've like, first of all, you know, you were in American Roommates. You were in, what are the bands that you were in?
In Nashville, dude, I miss American Roommates so much. What a fucking sick band.
I still see stickers of American Roommates like everywhere, and it's like such a like it's just a small little tear and like a pour out of Fernet for the homies.
Dude, not only was American Roommates a cool band, but those dudes were just the nicest people I've ever been in a band with. Like, it was
Yes.
like rehearsal 3, and I walk in, and Will and TJ are like, "Hello, we love you." Like, I've never gotten that kind of affirmation, even from the people I've been playing music with for like 10 years at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about like it's actually funny. You and I have been talking since I was in my last band when we were talking about doing a podcast. That was like years ago.
Uh-huh.
When we got kicked out of storage units. Now were you lucky enough to always have like a garage, or did you guys do the storage unit thing?
As far as like rehearsal spaces for these
Yeah.
bands, yeah, yeah, I actually don't really ever remember having an issue with rehearsal space. Ironically enough, until like right now, there's a rehearsal space up in Scottsdale near where I live, that we go to, but that's the first time I've had to pay every time, which isn't ideal, but it is still a room to practice in. So I haven't really had an issue. There's always been like a garage, there's been a rehearsal space or a living room, something like that. And with Troubled Minds, the guitarist is a teacher at the School of Rock out here, and so we just used that room to
That's
rehearse.
so that's so like perfect. Like I think one of the issues here in Nashville, and probably one of the issues just like nationwide, is that no one wants to take care of bands. And I think that's part of like this. It's like, oh no, you're a local band. You have to struggle. You have to sacrifice, and you have to do this weird dumb shit.
Yeah,
And rehearsal spaces is like one of the goofiest things that like storage units, a lot of people just like say no. We're like, we're willing to pay. And it's usually the storage unit is like in a weird spot. So like, we'll pay. And a lot of people are like, no bands, especially here in Nashville. It's like, what I found one. I felt like I couldn't tell anybody about it. I was like, I had to keep this a secret. And it was my secret. And we were there for just like 6 months, just rehearsing for a record. And then we got out of there, and it was like, they stopped doing bands right after that.
yeah. There was a rehearsal space that I would go to in Nashville that the problem with them is that they're really nice if you can get there, but they're expensive. They're
Yes.
not cheap because the demand is so high. Like we were rehearsing, and I just heard these crazy drums coming from the next room because it's the drummer for Slipknot has his studio space right next door to where we are.
Yes. 1,000,000%.
Right. It's like
Um,
dude, the shit's just kind of like if you're a band that's just starting out, like is everybody like wanting to make that kind of financial investment in something that has just started out?
Speaking of financial investment, do you feel like, because is it a boon or is it like a detriment that recording is recording technology is cheaper, so you can get
Hmm.
all of your stuff, you can like get Logic, you can get Reaper, and you can get microphones, but like everyone's having to learn on the fly about how
Right.
to mix and master and all that stuff. So do you think people are like, do you think that like DIY emo came out of like, hey, we don't want to fucking pay for this, and so we're just
Yeah.
going to do it
To an extent.
ourselves?
To an extent, I obviously don't want to like oversimplify it, but
Totally.
there is that kind of mentality around it, and like that genre in general of just kind of like, for lack of a better word, I don't mean to sound too like derogatory about it, but kind of like scumming it for the sake of scumming it, right?
Yeah.
Not because, and it's not always because they have to, right? Like you don't always have to, but it's kind of more the aesthetic of doing it really bare bones that I feel like a lot of people do get confused about. There's a difference between doing it that way because you have to and doing it that way because you want people to think you have to do it that way.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and that's kind of more localized specifically in DIY emo, I would say, because there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with the availability of recording technology and being able to learn all of it. But there is like, at a certain point, like you got to find someone who like knows how to do these things to get these things done for you.
And it's just, I think that the issue right now is that like there are so many incredible musicians right now, and there are so many there's a lot of people that mix and a lot of people that master, but I feel like
Hmm.
that it's so expensive. The concept of
Right.
like thankfully I have like a sound design degree, so I know how to like do a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
um Everyone that I've submitted to Submit Hub has told me I can't mix or master. That's fine. I don't need you guys anyways. So I think that there is always like if I just save my money, I can make this song sound like the best it could possibly be. But I also like, am like, I think that there's something to say about like the DIY thing where it's no, I got this to where I wanted it to be and I put it out, and this was always supposed to be casual anyways, and we're all just having fun. I feel like that the moment that you like get a mastering, if so you got someone to master a song, you're like, I guess I have to take myself way more seriously now.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people who, especially, I'm talking more about like the scene out here in Arizona rather than the scene in Nashville. But the scene in Arizona is, it strikes me as a lot of people. It strikes me as a community of people that, and again, I don't want to like overgeneralize, but what I see a lot is a lot of people who haven't really seen it done at a higher level, and so there's not really a blueprint for them to follow. I was lucky enough to be in Nashville and just to watch like all of my friends do it to like insane degrees. And so I got to learn a lot from a lot of different people. And so when I came back to Arizona, like you'll see bands that have been around in Arizona for like a decade that are still playing like living rooms that do want to take it to a different level and just haven't stopped playing at like that very local house show level.
When I grew up in Iowa, there were these guys that were like incredible. And they are still there. They're still in Cedar Rapids. But they had always these bands and they were so talented and they always wanted to tour and like could have it, like, you know, maybe it was like a money thing or it was just a time thing. Everyone was in school, but they were just incredible musicians. And now they're my age. And what they've done is they made this thing called Tom's Top 8. And they're just doing a nostalgia like cover band thing of all of like their favorite emo songs from back in the day. And I love it. And they're really, really good at it. And I've seen them and they are like the Midwest version. Like they tour, they go to different states and like they throw a fucking party, and it's they're capitalizing on this kind of like emo revival movement.
Is there one of those happening?
Yeah, I mean, we are on our fifth wave of emo.
Oh yeah,
we are on our fifth wave. There might be a sixth. Is hyperpop? I feel like is a little sixth wave. But like
that's an entire other 40-minute conversation.
1,000,000%. So I kind of wanted to ask, what are you listening to right now?
Right now, all right. I'm not going to cheat.
Okay, cool. No, let's go through you're going to open up your phone. You're going to look at Spotify, recently played. Like, what are you listening to right now?
Okay, my on repeat. I've got Leading the Light by Genesis Owusu, who I've been listening to a ton. Awesome. I wish I could tell you more about him. I actually know nothing about him other than he just released an album and it's really good. Like half of this on repeat is just Genesis Owusu. Let's see. A lot of it is shout out Sundressed because I had to fill in for them for a gig, and so a lot of it is still them from me learning their set.
Killer band.
And band called Sure Sure. They're very good. Band called First Beige, which I like a lot. It's a little jazzy, kind of like kind of funky.
Cool.
Yeah, so a little bit all over the place. But
what is a band that you feel like deserves a lot more attention?
Deserves a lot more attention. Honestly, that band sure deserves a lot of attention. Every single song from them is incredible. Really nice polish on it. They have a cover of Talking Heads, This Must Be the Place, that I'm going to have a hot take and say that I prefer it to the original.
Hell
it's
yeah.
that good. And there's also a psych rock band out of Australia called Psychedelic Porn Crumpets that is just banger after banger after banger. I've never heard riffs this cool in my entire life. So,
I'm going to need you to say that band name one more time.
Psychedelic Porn Crumpets.
Cool. I thought I heard that.
Yeah.
I just needed clarification because that sounds fucking insane.
Yeah, it came across my phone. I saw the name and got thrown for a loop. And then I heard the riffs and just stuck around and have been listening to them ever since.
I feel like there's a bunch of bands that are like the Callous Boys. Like I only started listening to them just because of the name.
Dude, I saw them here in Phoenix a couple months ago. That shit rips so hard.
Yeah, they're incredible.
It's one of those bands you listen to, and you're like, there's no way they can recreate this live. This is so chaotic. This is so intricate. And then you see them live, and they just fucking nail it. It's insane.
Shout out Callous Boys. I want to have you guys on this. That would be so sick to talk to you guys. So I'm going to play an American Roommates song at the end of this. So I wanted to know which song would you like to hear at the end of this? Because that's what I want to play. Everyone that's in a band has music out there, and like I won't have to worry about like copyright bullshit because you helped make it. So let me put it out.
I would love to hear Safer by Myself.
Safer by Myself, done. And here's Safer by Myself.
Right.